Up to 10,000 people throughout the county are estimated to have a severe form of mental illness not being managed. Some families say the county's so-called public safety net has too many holes to help those who are resistant to treatment, resulting in a costly in and out cycle in emergency rooms, prisons, drug use, and homelessness. But there are several service programs in place. Here to explain how they work are James Diego Rogers, Vice President of Clinical Services for the Community Research Foundation, and Dr. Michael Plopper, Chief Medical Officer of Sharp Behavioral Health Services. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
James, the county is recognized for its good system in caring for people with mental illness who are willing to get treatment. But what are the options out there for those who refuse treatment?
One of the main programs is the IHOT program, the In-Home Outreach Team program for those who are refusing treatment or hard to reach. Additionally, the county offers full-service partnership programs, which are still voluntary programs. However, they are targeted specifically for the hardest to reach individuals with serious mental illness and co-occurring disorders who have long histories of homelessness and hospitalizations.
Okay, and part of that partnership, I don't know if you're part of that, Dr. Plopper, but what role does Sharp Hospitals play in treating this hard-to-reach population?
Well, at Sharp Mesa Vista Hospital and Sharp Grossmont's Behavioral Health Services, we admit about 7,000 people a year. About 4,000 of those folks are admitted involuntarily. The vast majority of them are then discharged back into the community. So these folks had been admitted as a danger to themselves or others, or being gravely disabled.
And by law, just to interject here, you can only keep them for a certain amount of hours.
We can keep them for 3 days.
72 hours.
Yes. A few will go on to a 14-day hold, so we can keep them up to 17 days. But most are either signed into the hospital voluntarily or then are discharged after 3 days. So there are a large number of people who have been admitted to hospitals involuntarily who then are re-enter the community. And our concern is how well they're managed, what the continuity of care is after they leave the hospital. For those people who really can't appreciate the fact that they have a severe mental illness and are unwilling or unable to accept treatment, we have serious issues.
Let's, yeah, James, can you respond to that? That you've got this population kind of coming back onto the streets or the communities with no place to go and not willing to get help?
Sure, it's a challenge for sure, and it's certainly something that's quite prevalent. At the same time, with assertive outreach and engagement, especially by including the family members, we are able to reach out and actually convince individuals to start receiving treatment and care for their condition and begin the path of recovery.
So you have an outreach program specifically for these people. I know one option is admission to a locked long-term care facility. I knew back in 1997 there were 3 such facilities in the county. There is now just one with about 150 fewer beds than back then. So Dr. Plopper, how does this impact having this long-term, less beds in these long-term facilities? How does this impact as far as you think this population?
Well, it's had a serious impact on our ability to get people into appropriate levels of care. The IMDs, as they're called, Institutes for Mental Disease, of which Alpine is our one facility in the county, is the only thing available. And as was mentioned, 3 were available a few years ago. So what has happened is we're unable to get many people into Alpine because there are so few beds. We then are left with sending people out of county to locked skilled nursing facilities in other counties in the state for long-term care, and that's custodial care without medication or with medication only.
So these people have to go out of the county to get services, and I know there's a whole lot more to talk about that we don't have time for. But James, I did want to ask you, I know that County Health and Human Services is making recommendations to the Board of Supervisors who are going to vote next week on how to improve or change resources here in the county. What are those recommendations?
I don't know all the specific recommendations, but some that I do know is expansion of the IHOT program, as well as looking at the full array of services that the county network does provide. And through the Mental Health Services Act, I can say that there have been expansions of community-based services that have helped reach out and try to target the hard-to-reach folks through the full-service partnership programs.
Okay, and Dr. Plopper, what would you say about those recommendations or like to tell the Board of Supervisors?
Well, I think the IHOT is a fine program, but we're dealing with a group of people who refuse services and would refuse and have refused IHOT services. And these are people who are potentially dangerous to themselves or others. Laura's Law provides assisted outpatient treatment, so people who qualify, and that is they're recidivistic, they've had multiple prior hospitalizations or incarcerations and continue to be a danger to themselves, can be managed as an outpatient under court order. And it provides a great remedy for this population.
All right, and we'll be talking a lot more about Laura's Law later on in this series, and there's a lot of information on our website, kpbs.org. Dr. Michael Plopper and James Diego Rogers, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy.